Hi, I'm Virginia Haufler. I'm a professor at the University of Maryland, College Park, United States. I'm here talking about and listening to many other people talk about accountability, transparency, and global governance. My own reflections on this conference and the things I've been learning today are a couple of areas where I think we need more research. But where a lot of people are pointing to the significance of transparency and the establishment of accountability norms in global governance. One of the areas that I think is most interesting for people to examine and that we see a lot of people here looking at is who gets empowered by information when it is released, when it is disclosed. And there are a variety of actors who can be empowered by information. Oftentimes we want it to be citizens, we want it to be local communities, but in fact there are oftentimes information disclosures that empower powerful states, powerful elites, and powerful corporations. And it's the way in which that varies across different issue areas in the environmental arena that I think would be a great area for people to conduct future research on the ground in local communities and with corporations and individuals. Another area of research, and I think the one that has been most enlightening to me in attending this conference, is just the role of technology. And many of the speakers today have been talking about different ways in which modern technology makes it possible to collect, analyze, and organize information that was simply not possible in the past. And it makes me wonder if there's some way that we can think about variations in what we might call natural rate of visibility across different issue areas and industries. Some areas are very easy to see what's going on, and the release of information or the discovery of information is not too difficult. What we find today is that we have the technology to discover information that we simply were not able to discover in the past. And so this may change the dynamics of transparency mechanisms and how they work, because we now have sort of this big data revolution that is changing our ability to, as I said, collect and analyze information. I think finally, the final comments I would think about are the context in which we have these changes in global environmental governance and the expansion of transparency and accountability mechanisms has been one of this sort of a forward movement of globalization, the higher integration of markets. But as recent events, particularly in the UK, have shown us, globalization is not something that we can take for granted. And of course, many people don't in fact want it to continue forward. Both on the left and the right. And so we may be entering a period of time in which we see the sort of pulling back from globalization and from further integration of markets, a rise in protectionism and nationalism, and even some of the ways in which transparency itself may contribute to that. In that, for instance, transparency that is being demanded of companies and their global supply chains may actually cause them to pull back from those global supply chains, or at least shorten them, or to restrict the countries in which they operate in order to avoid having to report and disclose information that they'd really rather not do. So I think this question of where we are going with globalization is going to be important for understanding where we're going for global environmental governance and transparency and accountability.